once upon a time there was this squirrel named Squirrel. His parents weren't very smart. They weren't very creative. All they could come up with for the name of their little squirrel was the name Squirrel because he was a squirrel. Couldn't think of even like Bill or Bob or Tom. They just went with Squirrel. Well, a lot of the other little squirrels, kid squirrels, what are kid squirrels called? Little squirrelies? I don't know. Would make fun of Squirrel in school because of his name Squirrel. They're like, that's what you are, and that's not who you are. Because he's like, hey, I'm Squirrel, a squirrel. They're like, what? And, well, it always kind of bothered him. It was hard on his self-esteem. But as he grew up, he got to learn that, it is what it is. And I guess I'm the squirrel named Squirrel. But he learned a very valuable lesson. That no matter what people say about you, you determine your future. End of chapter 1.
Chapter 2. Like he no, whatever people said about him didn't matter because he was just going to live life how he wanted to live life. And that's what you should do. And then he went over to his friend's tree his name was Bob the gorilla. He's a gorilla. And whenever he got to his house on the other side of the forest, he was doing his homework. So he helped him with his homework. His homework, it was so hard. 1,000 times 1. That was the easiest question. Well, it is easy, but the second hardest question was 1 plus 1 plus 100 plus 58 plus 180 plus 85 plus 96. The only way you can remember all of those numbers are if you're writing them down. And you're probably not writing them down. So it was really hard homework. But the squirrel, I can't say squirrel right, it's hard for me to pronounce. But don't question why I suck at pronouncing that. He helped. His homework was easy, and it was the exact same thing. It's just that he's way smarter than Bob the gorilla. So, then whenever they were done, they were smart. He helped Bob the gorilla helped the squirrel pick up acorns because yesterday was the first day of fall. And whenever it's fall, squirrels should be picking up acorns and putting it in the tree. And then, because if they don't, they'll starve. But the squirrel doesn't like nuts. He likes these nuts from Feastables more, so he went to the store because he found at least like $100 on the ground, because there's a hiking trail near his house and there's water, so they put coins in it because it's a wishing fountain, and he doesn't know that they think it's a wishing fountain, so he takes it and then buys some of these nuts with it. He loves these nuts.
Chapter 3. Now that the squirrel had his tree that was hollow, all full of these nuts candy bars. And, he did have a few acorns and walnuts because, after all, he is a squirrel. And just in case he couldn't find these nuts, he might get a different Feastable that just had chocolate that he could mix with his nuts. And it was getting cold, so he was set up for food for the winter. But now the squirrel that bullied him in school for being called Squirrel did not have much saved up for winter, but didn't have much squirrel nuts saved up. Even though he made fun of the squirrel, he's like, I will help him pick up some nuts and be prepared for winter, because that's what a good squirrel would do for other squirrel. So squirrel was thinking, he's like, it is getting close to winter now and he don't have anything. And they do live near a state park. He's like, I remember seeing a camper that had a whole big jar of nuts. He's like, and they don't even have shells in them. They had a whole big container of nuts. He's like, if we could get that from them, that would be enough to last him all winter. So him and his squirrel friend, they went scampering up, climbed on top, jumped on top of the camera, and they were looking, how can we get these from them? They're like, okay, you scare them and I will.
Guys, I thought that was a bully. I thought it was a bully.
Well, Squirrel's friend jumped down and landed right on top of the camper's head. He jumped and ran inside the camper. And while he was running, they grabbed a container of nuts, both of them, and they took off running for the woods as fast as they can. And they made it all the way to his tree where they stored it up for winter. And then he knew he would be safe for the winter. End of chapter 3.